We're back in the games room, and as you can see, we've got a package. Not any old package, this is a special one, jam-packed full of Japanese goodness from the game guru himself, KidShoryuken. I like to do separate videos for KidShoryuken boxes, not only because they're just pure quality, but also as a thank you really for all his hard work. I know he has a day job as a teacher, so I really appreciate his service, and I'd like to share it with everyone. So I'm being a bit of a teacher's pet rather than giving it an apple or scissors or glue. I'm just doing a quick video to say thank you. There's definitely a theme to the games that I chose to play in the game group, so it gives you a bit of a taste, a bit of a prediction of what is yet to come from that glorious little box full of Japanese goodness. Okay, let's stop messing around and let's get down to the serious business of checking out what's in the KidShoryuken box. Okay, mandatory intro out the way. We got some wrestling in the box. First out is a PS1 game, Fist of North Star. Don't worry, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the full Japanese title of this one. I'm not going to do that to myself, but everybody knows Fist of the North Star. And this PS1 game didn't actually come out in the West. It came out before the series became popular outside of Japan, or became more mainstream. And the West didn't even get reskin of this game like they did with the Sega Master System's Black Belt and the Mega Drive's Last Battle. Always loved the Fist of the North Star sort of Mad Max sort of setting and the hype of violence, but I didn't even know this game existed until I pulled it out of the box. So the game seems to be split up into different chapters where you get a little bit of story, and then you got your action. So there is this pure brawl of violence and a lot of fun. With certain conditions, you will be drawn into a quick time event against some of the bosses. Just get your punches in there and you will get your classic Fist of the North Star head explosions. Classic stuff. Of course, if you want to strictly follow the storyline, you need to know Japanese, but for me, I really didn't care. The cutscenes are so over the top, they're hilarious. I ended up just making up my own storyline, a la Kung Pao into the Fist, and I had an absolutely amusing time. This game is definitely recommended. So back to the box and back to some rustling sound, and next out is a Saturn game. It's Gradius, the Deluxe pack. What a classic. For some reason this game has eluded me for quite a few years now, and I finally get to fill that gap in my shooting collection for the Saturn, so I am well chuffed to finally get it. It's an absolute classic. I love Gradius, and this is Gradius 1 and Gradius 2. Yes, indeed, destroy them all. As you can see, the graphics are absolutely stunning. For me, this is what the Saturn does best. These 2D shooting games are just perfection. Most people are more familiar with the first game, but I absolutely adore the second one. It did get released in the arcades in Europe. I think it was Vulture Venture, and unfortunately it didn't get any console release in the West. As you can see, this Deluxe pack is just pure arcade perfection. Did also get released on the PlayStation 1 in Japan. I'm sure it's just as good, but for me personally, I just feel the Saturn is the perfect home for these kind of games. So back to the wrestling box, and it's Street Fighter collection. KidShoryuken has definitely and correctly identified some serious gaps in my Saturn collection here. I have no idea why I haven't got this one already. I mean, it is super expensive in the West. There's no way I would have picked up the North American I think also the PAL one as well. This one is very expensive. But the Japanese version is reasonably priced, and you should have this one in your collection. Again, this is another game that came out on the PlayStation 1, but for me, because this is a 2D game, I just feel the Saturn is the right home for it. Don't take it away from the PlayStation 1, I love it to bits, but if it's 2D, I just feel the Saturn is the right place. Even without the RAM expansion, this game runs extremely well. So as a comparison, just so you can see how good the port really is, I have put in the top right hand corner Grandmaster Challenge on actual CPS2 hardware. So you can clearly see there's not that much difference between the performance between the two games. It's not quite there, but it's almost perfection. Graphically, it's also pretty damn close. You got to be impressed with the actual port. The other game in the collection is Street Fighter 02 Dash. Now this is actually quite an interesting one. It's a variation of Street Fighter 02, but this actually didn't make it to the arcades in the West. In Asia it was Street Fighter 02 Alpha, and it's, as you can see, I've included in the top right hand corner there, it's a really good port. You can see both the performance wise and also in the graphics department, they're pretty close. You have to be impressed with the sound. You do now of course have pretty much all the Street Fighter 2 games on the Switch, but I believe Street Fighter 02 Dash or Street Fighter 20 Alpha is missing. So what could possibly follow up on one of the world's greatest games? Well, SNK, King of Fighters 99, Evolution. Back in 2000, they didn't lie to us, SNK. The future is now. They were absolutely right, because these games still have not aged. Not only am I a huge SNK fan, but also a huge Dreamcast fan. It's probably got some of the best ports of the Neo Geo on it, and King of Fighters 99 is no exception. It may not be my favourite game in the franchise, that goes to 98 Ultimate Match, but it's still a cracking good game. One of the big changes in 99 was to include the assist striker characters, which me personally I don't really think is an improvement, but a lot of people do like it and they do rate 99 as one of their favourites. As you can see, I have included the original Neo Geo arcade version in the top right hand corner, so you can see how the graphics have been improved on the Dreamcast. You've got 3D modelling in the background, and also the sound is much better on the Dreamcast. So back to the box, and we've got another Dreamcast game. It is Berserk. Now, I knew absolutely nothing about this game, so I've heard of the manga Berserk, but I had no idea there was any video games. I've never seen any footage or anything like that, so I had to look this one up. So it did actually get released in the West. It was called Sword of the Berserk Gut and Rage. So I believe this actually came out even before the manga officially got translated and brought over to the West. As you can see from the footage, this is a really dark and grim, moody hack and slash, lots of blood, lots of action, and a hell of a lot of fun. I really enjoyed playing this one. The controls are not too bad actually, a little bit clunky at times, but I really enjoyed myself with this one. To be honest with you, I've not got that far into the game, so I can't tell you about the later levels, but I do believe there's a lot more quick time events, and I believe this is one of the first games to sort of introduce that. So it has been highly influential into a lot of games, I believe. And I know there's a lot of big fans out there of the manga series, so I know there's a lot of people out there who absolutely love this game. The games keep on coming. The box seems to be bottomless. It's another Dreamcast game. It's Street Fighter 03. This is one of my absolute favourites. This version I always go back time and time again. I have the CPS2 hardware of this one and I play it a hell of a lot. So I'm really happy to get it on the Dreamcast with the improved sound. I don't think the graphics have changed too much, but definitely the sound is much better than the CPS2. So I think there's two versions of this game released in Japan. There's this one, and there's also one that included a matching service, which was released, I think, mail order only, if I'm not mistaken. And they did that with quite a few of the fighting games for Capcom actually. As before, I've included the CPS2 hardware footage in the top right hand corner, so you can do a quick comparison of the graphics and the actual performance of the game. As you can see, they are absolutely identical. In fact, Capcom would actually use this platform, or the Naomi, which is pretty much the same as the Dreamcast, to release their update, which is Street Fighter 03 Upper. As I mentioned before, this is probably my favourite Street Fighter game, so it is highly recommended on Dreamcast. Unfortunately, we've come to the last game in the box, and it's an absolute cracker. It's Vampire Chronicle for matching service. Now, I always get confused in the name conventions on this franchise with the Darkstalker or Vampire Savior Hunter sort of a fiasco, but I believe this is Vampire Hunter 2, which is Vampire Savior 2. If you haven't played this game for whatever reason, it's basically Street Fighter 2 but with monsters, and to be honest with you, it's got a much better atmosphere than Street Fighter 2. It's such a cool franchise and a pretty underrated one too. You get to choose between three different styles, either the Vampire, Hunter or Savior styles at the beginning of the game. While the style of play doesn't feel as well balanced as it does in Street Fighter 2, the character roster is just so much more interesting. As before, I have included the CPS2 hardware on the top right hand corner, so you can see how close the versions are. Now, Vampire Savior 2 is I think it's the last game in the series, and it is the absolute pinnacle of what 2. So if you haven't got this one, you definitely want to pick this up. I believe this was Japanese exclusive. And yes, I did choose Felicia on purpose for the demo play. I wonder why. So congratulations, you made it to the end of the KidShoryuken box pickups video, I guess you could call it. Big thank you to the man himself for spending so much time to sort out these wonderful boxes of joy and introducing me to some games I would never ever get to play. So thank you very much, mate. So there's only one thing left to do, and that is to drink some Tito's vodka and coke and play some video games. So, as always, thanks a lot, and I'll see you later.